Hi, this is Lisa, and you're listening to Odd Musings with Brett and Scott.
Live from the Echo Network studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan, this is Odd Musings, and we are your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson, creator of Boomtown Scabs, The Adventures of Carl, and The Expendables, and I'm joined today with
Scott Zambelli, creator of Emmanuel, God With Us, and other fine works of art.
And also joining us is the secret man behind the screen. He's joined us live. Is he Secret Asian Man? Hey, don't call it racist. He's Asian, and he said we could say it.
Yeah, this is Alan Tong, and I'm not like these two guys. I have no credentials.
Do not disassociate.
We know you're not like us. We had DNA tests that prove we're alike.
Did you ever get your DNA results back?
Move your mic closer there, Al.
You know, I did.
Did you ever look at them?
No, I didn't.
We got it. We've been waiting to find out if you're a Roman citizen.
For months.
You have that awesome backstory. We got to find out. So maybe we can find that out in the next coming weeks.
Yes, we need to know. Our audience wants to know.
I want to know.
Janice and Brittany who are listening and Connie the come on. They want to know what's going on with you.
That's right. So, I got to find out what speaker settings Brittany has. She says I have a great radio voice. So I don't. Well,
I always thought you had a great face for radio, but
I know I do. I got a great beard though for everything.
Oh yeah, your beard speaks for everything, right? Yeah.
But we had a great weekend. It's solo weekend. We're going to be talking about that. But
now, as you guys know, this is a little preface here. Scott was gonna completely ban seeing the movie.
No. I was going to boycott the opening weekend.
Okay, opening weekend boycott.
Opening weekend.
He was not going to see it, but he got to see it for free, and now he's hooked.
Well, a friend of mine.
He's fully addicted now.
Yes, I will say the boycott failed because a friend of mine foiled my plan by buying me a ticket, and then so if I didn't go, it was going to be it was already a bought seat.
You can't waste the money.
Yeah, so they outsmarted me. My foolproof plan just fell apart with a single ticket purchase.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I loved it. And so glad this movie gave to me everything I wanted to feel after seeing The Last Jedi, and I didn't feel.
Well, good.
So we will be getting into spoilers soon, but before we do that, how was your weekend, Brett?
You know, my week was good. I was talking about in the pre-show, we have had a hot week here in Michigan. We went from icy rainstorms 4 weeks ago to now mid-90s.
Yes.
Today it's supposed to be close to 90. Yesterday they said it was going to get 88, but it was 95 in my car driving around. I was working for Shipt all day. Mm-hmm. Been getting working a lot. I worked 6 days straight for Shipt, so I could take this coming weekend off. And
you're going to West Virginia.
Huntington, West Virginia. Tricon. Get to see Vinny and Lisa, who did the shirts that Scott and I are wearing. We got them from them, as well as our Odd Musing shirts, which you can get at t-24.com/odd. Use coupon code ODD, ODD, for 10% off. We got some cool. It's got our mascot Odd on there. And you know, we use Odd a lot. So, but even with Shipt, if you go to shipt.com and sign up to be a customer, you can use the code ODD to get $10 of free groceries. And they got a lot of specials going on right now with the sign up and that. But I did that over the weekend. I saw Solo at the Fan Event on Thursday. Loved the movie. I want to see it again. Just haven't had time because I did go see Deadpool on Friday.
You did see Deadpool?
I had a really huge busy. Yeah, I had a busy morning working, and then beauty of what I do is I can set my own schedule. So I took myself off the afternoon after getting a ton of shops. I was like, I need a break, and I was like, ooh, Deadpool starts at 2:20, and guess what? I went and saw. I went and saw Deadpool 2, and I am so glad because it was awesome. We will talk about that as soon as Scott sees it, and get into that a little bit more. I definitely want to see that one again. It's like I need to take a good day and just go to the movies. Start off in the morning with like Infinity War, see Deadpool 2, and then end it off with Solo.
Yeah, my original plan was to see Deadpool 2 this weekend while I was boycotting Solo, but I ended up seeing Solo 4 times instead. So
every time I go, it's like, oh, here's a post. Hey, I'm in an empty theater because it's first showing of the day for Solo, and nobody's here yet.
Yeah, it was so. Like I said, I was very happy. But outside of seeing Solo, I did fit in some actual work. For real estate, we had a successful open house. Very good turn. We not as big of a turnout as normal because it was a holiday weekend.
You know, it was such a nice weekend in terms of it was hot. First of all, which some people did complain about the heat, but most of us were like, no, don't even complain because we have to this winter. winter. We need this heat. The other thing was it was sunny. We didn't get much rain, so people were out and about.
Yeah,
it was busy everywhere.
Exactly.
I with all the deliveries I did, went by a couple of the community pools in Ann Arbor, as well as down by the Huron River for a few deliveries near the University Hospital, and tons of people were out enjoying the weather, enjoying the water, having a great time.
Yeah, so the turnout wasn't as big as we wanted, but we were happy. We got some good leads out of it. Hopefully we found a buyer for the house. We have some neighbors who had friends, and then we're prepping for another open house this week. But the really rewarding part was the owners of the house were shocked at the work we do for an open house. A lot of realtors they kind of phone it in for open houses. They try to avoid them and hire other people to do it on their behalf. We go all out. We invite the neighbors because neighbors know people who might want to move into the neighborhood. And we advertise on Facebook. We do, for those who couldn't make it, we do a live feed of a walkthrough of the house so people who couldn't make it to the open house can find it. So we got a lot of praise from them for the amount of effort we put into their open house, and they said they've never seen somebody do so much for it. So that was very, very nice. So I was very happy about that.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Scott and I, we talk, more than just doing the show, and he's telling me about some stuff going on, and it's one of those things that real estate's definitely one of those things you've got to continuously do work that you're not necessarily seeing the end result at right away.
Yeah.
And, I agree with you. The more you do, the better it is.
Yeah, a lot of times with real estate, the work you're doing today doesn't really pay off for another 3 or 4 months.
Right.
So, and then we got Big Al in the room here too, and you were doing some troops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I did the opening night solo, a 501st Legion troop over at the Phoenix Theater over Laurel Park Mall. There were about 12 of us that were there opening night, and then I went back Friday by myself, so I trooped solo.
Or solo.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, Everybody, of course, likes stormtroopers.
Right.
They'll walk past the soft costumes, or walk over them to get to stormtroopers. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Scott should know.
And for those watching who don't know, Al is a stormtrooper at the 501st, like I am. Mm-hmm. And this is actually his bucket, as we call it here. And then I also brought another prop, the DL-44 blaster that Han Solo has that we'll talk about. But where'd you get that awesome shirt?
This is the Star Wars night shirt from Detroit Tigers during their Star Wars night at Comerica Park.
Yeah, every year they do a special event. This year they moved it up. Usually it's in the fall.
I think they wanted to move it up because they wanted to build up some more hype for the new Star Wars movies that were coming out.
Was that during Star Wars weekend?
The game?
The game?
No, this was about 3 weeks ago.
I think it was Free Comic Book Weekend.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
It was right after the ice storm the week before, but we had still a ton of rain.
Right.
Because the game got rained out.
We actually got rained out at the time of the game. Those who were brave enough to come out before the game and enjoy all the festivities, pre-game festivities, there were...
fans still got to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because that day I was supposed to do that trip with you, but then I had an offer I had to write up that night, so I had to cancel.
Yeah.
Which then it got rained out, so I was like, I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah, but we...
I'm glad fans got to at least interact with you still, so that's good.
Yeah, we were there for a good, hour before, and then plus the Detroit Tigers took care of us pretty well, and they...
And in true 501st fashion, even though the game got rained out, we never miss an opportunity for camera and photo, so I did see some fun pictures posted still.
Yeah. Like I said, Detroit Tigers, they do take care of us, and they do the traditional in front of the big gigantic tiger at the main gate. So we were all there for that, and so basically we drove down there, took a bunch of pictures, got fed, but
they feed us.
The difference was this year they were doing something different on the field. They weren't going to do the traditional parade around the edge of the field. They were going to have. They divided us up into two, and they were going to have each half line up directly in front of the dugouts during the national anthem.
Oh, okay.
But they were going to have the stormtroopers walk out to the center field, so there would have been the stormtroopers out in center field, everybody else lined up in front of the dugout, and we were supposed to sort of patrol, stand guard for the rest of the field, or something like that. Unfortunately, we never got to do that because of the rain, but they did change it up a little bit on us this year.
Now, one year when we did it, we go out and we went into the front to take the group photo in front of the giant tiger, and as we come out, so here we are, it's a huge turnout. We had 40 of us all costumed. We come out into the front to take the photo, and we end up photobombing a wedding shoot in progress. There was a wedding party, they're doing a shoot, and all of a sudden in the middle, because we didn't know, we just come walking out, and all of a sudden they're surrounded they were loving it. They're like, can you be in our wedding photo? So all of a sudden we had the bride and groom posing in the middle, and they had like 50 costume Star Wars characters around them, and we did all kinds of pictures with them. I'll tell you what, come whenever you see a Star Wars event, if we're there, we love photos. We love interacting with the fans, and it's always a good time. So it was so fun with that wedding party. But so good times. Yeah, always good. I would love to find them so I could see their wedding album.
They should have tagged 501st and everything.
No kidding.
We had the Detroit Tigers. The big gigantic tiger is across the street from the Illich building, or Little Caesars headquarters.
Right.
And we were all lining up in front, and some guy must have been looking out the window and it's a good 100 yards maybe across the parking lot and everything. We see this guy with his camera come running out of the building. And I think it was one of the Illich public relations guys.
Oh, okay.
He must not have gotten the memo that we were going to be there. Because we just saw him running.
Or he was probably like, Star Wars!
Maybe. Because we were done doing the group shot with the tigers. We see this guy running, and there's 30 of us just waving him on, saying, come on, hurry. And he's just running and running, and he gets there, and I don't even know if he was able to hold his camera still.
Awesome.
I got stormtroopers. Stormtroopers are cool.
Well, it's not just stormtroopers. It's the full range.
It doesn't matter.
But stormtroopers are the coolest. One last thing about the 501st before we move on. One thing that's really cool with Al, he's got his enthusiasm. He's still a newbie here with the 501st, and I just love.
So they call you like Proby or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
But in addition to the regular,
actually, I think with Star Wars it'd be Puby.
No.
Pew, pew.
That doesn't sound right. But in addition to his regular stormtrooper outfit, you recently got approved for the heavy weapons trooper, which I'm highly jealous of. I got to finish mine. But now that you went through the process, I know that backpack actually is approvable.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And I got to finish that. The heavy weapons trooper has a big gun, and then it has the pauldron it wears, and it's awesome backpack. So I'm jealous of you for that. But then you're also an Imperial officer.
Yes.
So you got 3 now?
Yep. And I actually have a 4th one that I originally submitted, but and it's the Imperial Navy Trooper. It would be the guys dressed in black with the egg-shaped helmets.
Oh yes.
As some people call them, the salad bowl.
Right.
I had a couple of things I needed to fix on that, cool. But I will end up with 4.
All right. Well, somebody who won't have to be fixing stuff for you is our awesome friends at International Minute Press.
That's correct.
Because they do it right the first time.
Well, and if they don't, they fix it correctly.
That's true.
But they're pretty good about stuff. I've not had any problems with them. So, but International Minute Press in Plymouth, Michigan, they print and promote and design you. They are artist owned and operated. Joe and his team understand what it takes for businesses to get noticed. From custom business cards, letterhead, and envelopes to promotional items and direct mail advertising. IMP of Plymouth has the tools to help businesses of all size stand out from the rest. Contact them today at 734-414-6203. You can visit them online at www.myprinter.intlminutpress.com or just walk into the store, 1058 South Main Street in Plymouth, Michigan. Tell them Odd Music sent you. You get 20% off your order. And if Joe's not there, tell him he needs to get his butt back there and get your stuff going now because you want it today. They're actually really good. They would do quick, prompt, and get you going.
They do.
And they have a lot of other cool products they can do for you. If there's anything you need that needs some printing on, get a hold of them. I'm sure they can do it. it. They know ways. They have ways. They can make ways happen. So, but International Minute Press, Plymouth, Michigan, one of our proud sponsors of the Odd Musing Show. Before we start into Solo here, we have to talk about the match that happened the other week.
Oh, yes.
And since Dominic is back,
yeah, we want to wish.
I want to know, did you have we know the Shrub took you out at Motor City. Did his brother
did the tumbleweed?
Did his brother the tumbleweed get you in Phoenix?
Not quite as bad.
Not quite as bad.
Yeah, it tuned me up a little bit, but not like the Shrub.
Okay.
Not like the Shrub. Yeah. That will go down in the annals of history or the annals of history. I don't know which, as one of the best matches.
It depends on which way that Dom went at the bush.
Which way do you go at the bush, Dom?
I just dive right in. I don't know what I'm doing.
The best was Mike's recounting of your drop kick at the bush.
Oh, we should share that on the Odd Music page.
Should have seen the other guy.
Yeah. I really wish there was video of this because you probably would have been the Echo Network's ratings would have gone through the roof. You could have won $1 million on funniest home videos, all this stuff.
Yeah, it definitely would have been at least a $10,000 win.
So for those of you who don't know, this is an example of why you need to control your drinking at a Comic-Con. Because you might end up fighting a bush.
There you go.
And losing. Yep. But no, we appreciate Dom and all that he does here, and we're just having some fun at his expense.
Yeah, welcome back, Dom.
But expense that he brought on himself.
Yes. And Dom's going to be joining me in West Virginia this weekend.
That's right.
Yeah. So you can come see me, you come see Mess Bucket Comics, and you'll have all your comics artwork. You're taking your little Ravager. You're taking your big Ravager?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we'll have the full setup. So come check us out there and mention Odd Musings, and you'll get a no prize.
There you go. Wasn't that the Stan Lee?
Yeah, that was
no
Stan
prizes.
Lee. I told you, that's why I said earlier, do this as no prizes. Yeah. Like Marvel, except we don't mail anything out that says no prize.
Those were awesome, the no prize.
Yeah.
But now for the big spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoilers.
We are talking Solo in full effect here.
Yes.
So if you didn't see it, don't listen unless you don't care.
Right. We've all seen it.
Then you can listen.
Scott more than most people, but hey. Oh, Lisa joined us. Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Oh, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, Lisa, make sure you listen to the very end, please. Okay, so, and she's actually saw Solo. So Lisa did text me, and she texted you as well, Scott.
Yes.
And we did do a text chat of Solo over the weekend.
Yeah, we were wondering if we should talk about Solo this weekend or this week or next week on Odd Musings, and Lisa forced us to talk this week. So.
She was ready to talk about some Solo here.
Yes.
So for those that saw it, I know Janice said she saw it in Chicago with her godson. She did the fan event also.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the fan event. I thought there'd be a little bit more to it, but there wasn't much to it. I did get a cool poster here, so that was pretty cool. And then I don't know if she saw the one at the AMC. They were giving the dice away, Solo's dice. I was like, man, I want some dice. Dice been cool.
Yeah.
But, hey, but I was excited to go see it after the last couple trailers.
How about we go real quick with our quick review? What did you think?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
It was an enjoyable movie. It was a lot of fun. If you're not a Star Wars fan, I think you can still enjoy this because you don't need a whole lot of backstory. It gives you everything. This is the backstory.
Yeah, you really. I mean, the Easter eggs. There's so many Easter eggs that if you are the big Uber fans like we are, that those are really cool. But if you're not, you don't need to know them. There's nothing you need to know for this movie. So it's an excellent starting point for anybody who's uninitiated with Star Wars. Definitely.
Yeah, so if you're a new fan, definitely it's worthwhile. It was a good sci-fi movie separate from just being Star Wars.
8 out of 10 Goldblums.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was really good. Really good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good.
Al, how about you? What would you rate it?
I probably also would put 8 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I really liked the movie. It fills in a lot of like the backstory, like you said,
and that lore.
Right.
In the Star Wars universe.
Seeing the Millennium Falcon and the Han Solo gun and how Chewie and Han met. I mean, that was all very very interesting.
And of course, it was done slightly different from the original expanded universe stuff that's no longer canon.
Yeah, the backstory of Han Solo was changed from the expanded universe.
But I like the way they did it, though.
But they did a great job with it,
and they incorporated elements from that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give the trifecta here, and I also gave it 8 out of 10.
Yep.
Not sure what that scale is based on, but
well, you know what? I think like this. It wasn't a perfect movie,
right?
There was a few things here and there that when you look at it for as a cinematic experience, it wasn't perfect. But 8 out of 10, I think is solid. I don't give many films a higher 9 or 10 unless they're really excellent. Even Infinity War, as much as I liked it, I give it more like an 8.5.
Right. Yeah. For me, I think Winter Soldier might be my only 10 out of 10 ever. And
even that, I still gave it 9 out of 10. But that was I'm looking at it from different.
Well, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong, man.
No. But seriously, like with all Star Wars movies are, they're at the end of the day, a Star Wars movie is meant for an 8 to 10-year-old. That's the reality. It's not a perfect movie, it never is. But for me, the essence of Star Wars was in it. Now, once again, I gotta give this caveat: if you loved Last Jedi, I have no problem with that. I personally, I felt like Last Jedi did not have the essence of Star Wars in it. So for me, it doesn't work. I felt like Solo returned me there, and I'm in my happy place with Solo. I can go watch it and be thrilled with it. But there's so much to talk about here. I don't know where to start. So Al, where would you like to start? We got where in the timeline it occurs.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz on the internet. Some people are wondering whether it was version 3.25, 3.5, 3.75, and where does it tie in with Rogue One, which I thought was strange because to me it's obvious that Rogue One takes place days before Star Wars.
Yeah, Rogue One,
A New Hope.
The technical time frame between Rogue One and New Hope is 3 hours. I'm pretty sure.
All right, yeah.
I think they officially said it's a 3-hour gap between the end of Rogue One and the beginning of A New Hope. Now, I've done some math and some interneting to get. When I first started this, talking about this, at first I thought this was set during the Clone Wars because the whole crime syndicate storyline fits in with we're talking spoilers, so it's okay to say it. As we know, Darth Maul is the amazing surprise reveal.
Yes,
in this, and
I truly did not expect. That's the one thing.
Oh yeah, that blew
the
me
whole
away.
thing. When that popped up, I was like, wait a minute. Now they were talking about that Balbatani's character. He wasn't the real guy. I mean, he was big, but he wasn't the big bad. The real big bad ends up being Darth Maul,
and we don't know that.
And that came out of nowhere because there was no indication. We had no thing. I mean, it did throw into one thing that every Star Wars film has, which is lightsabers. And you didn't see a lightsaber till that point.
Right.
The closest we came was basically Beckett's, we've determined as like a vibroblade, which is similar to...
Yeah, whatever that weapon was.
It's a powered blade that has, it could be, you can say it's kind of like a laser
something
tip,
like that. Yeah. But... so we got that. The crime syndicate, Crimson Dawn, is in this movie, and once I saw Darth Maul, I was thinking back into season 5 of Clone Wars when Maul creates his crime syndicate. So I'm like, oh, this must be during that time. But further research and watching, I went back and rewatched all those episodes. Crimson Dawn wasn't created during that time. His crime syndicate had a different name. I think they called it the Shadow Syndicate or the Shadow. I forget what they called it.
Okay.
But anyways, where the key to the timeline is Chewie's age, because we know they say he's 190. According to canon, Chewie was 180 when Clone Wars started. Clone Wars started 22 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is episode 4.
Right.
Which means, you do the math, the second half of Solo, after the 3-year jump, that would put it at 12 years before A New Hope. Now, you could go with 10 years before, because they also mention in another source Chewie is 200 years old in A New Hope, which would mean it's 10 years before. So it's somewhere between 10 to 12 years.
Right.
Yes.
Is that final part.
And that makes sense, because when we first talked after seeing it originally, we were trying to figure it out. I was like, well, because it's 7? Because I had a question. I was like, what's the time frame on this? Because it feels like it's further back to what I thought it would be.
Right.
And if everything falls in line like it is, then, and of course, we have to wait for the official Star Wars timeline to come out. out to confirm everything, but it sounds like it did. I agree. 10 years sounded about right, and this gives a lot of leeway between the Solo movie and A New Hope to do other movies in between to tie them all together.
Yeah. So for those of you you're trying to figure out where does Solo fall in the whole timeline, here's something. If it is 12 years before the Battle of Yavin, here's what's going on in this universe at the same time. Luke and Leia are 7 years old during this movie. She's on Alderaan and Luke is on Tatooine. Yoda would have been isolated in Dagobah for 7 years at this point. And it's 1 year before Jyn Erso's mother is killed in front of her by the Death Troopers and director Krennic.
Okay.
So that's where we are. So basically a year after Solo is when the opening of Rogue One occurs, when Jyn is young.
Right.
So that's a year after Solo. So there you have it.
Okay.
What is the time frame after Episode 3?
Episode 3 occurs 19 years before Battle of Yavin, which is Episode 4.
Right.
Okay.
So
that would put this roughly what?
Roughly 10 years, or in the middle.
This is
about in the middle.
Yeah.
It's 7 years after Revenge of the Sith, 12 years before Episode 4.
Now, one thing we talked about, and we can get more into this later as we go through the whole movie, is Scott brought it up, and I think it's a great. I felt like this was the first of a trilogy, and it makes sense to look at it as
my theory.
They did if they do the other movies we're talking about with Boba Fett and Kenobi, that could be the full. That could be the trilogy that fills in the middle part of the episode movies.
I think what they're doing. This is my theory. Pure irresponsible speculation. One of the really popular storylines of the expanded universe was Shadows of the Empire, which explored the crime syndicate, Black Sun, Prince Shizor, all those. I think what they're doing is they took that basic concept, they moved it to here, and it's going to be the Crimson Dawn trilogy is really what this is.
And that makes sense. I remember the Shadows of the Empire because I remember reading the comics and the book as well as playing the video game.
Right. So I think Episode 1 of this Crimson Dawn trilogy is the Solo movie. And now we know he's heading to Tatooine.
Okay.
Well, who's also part of Jabba's game? Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They're talking about the Boba Fett movie.
And at this point, because we saw him in Clone Wars as a young Boba Fett.
And we also see him in the Episode 4 special edition that he's with Jabba's gang.
Right. So this would actually fully tie it all together.
Yeah, so I think Fett would be Episode 2 of the Crimson Dawn trilogy, and I think Episode 3 is Kenobi.
Yeah.
Because that also ties into the Rebel series, where we know Kenobi is also on Tatooine.
But there's also talks that he didn't. He was, when he knew Luke was safe, he did other missions.
Yes.
In the meantime,
and we also
part of it too was also in protection of Luke.
And we could also get a Qui-Gon tie-in, because we know during this time period from at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, Yoda says he's going to be training with Qui-Gon to learn how to
basically life after death is what they called it. So it's basically Qui-Gon also had learned a little bit of what Palpatine knew from plays about how to basically survive.
Yeah, so
and cheat death a little bit. But was it more on the Jedi side? It's more about becoming the Force ghost, and that's where all that comes from.
So I hope that helps everyone with when Solo is occurring.
Yeah.
So there's so much more. What else to talk about? Pick something. Darth Maul. Let's talk Darth Maul some more.
All right. The Darth Maul was a total surprise to me, and he is carrying a different lightsaber.
He is.
Yep.
And I'm not 100% sure because it hasn't been confirmed, but it looks like it's Savage Opress's lightsaber, double-bladed lightsaber from the Clone Wars series. And if you haven't watched that, go back to Season 4, the last 2 episodes of Season 4, watch Episode 1 of Season 5, and then Episodes 14 through 16. That will get you all up to date on the Darth Maul story and how he survived being cut in half. That'll tell you that stuff.
Yeah, because I remember when that happened, it was like, wait a minute, he lived? And the thing is, when they made it canon, it's like, this is actually part of the actual universe. And it continued on because they were doing Clone Wars before Disney bought Lucasfilm.
And Savage Opress is Darth Maul's brother.
Yep.
So where do you think that they're going to reveal how he survives based on your
I don't think they will.
irresponsible theory.
Oh, they don't need to because it's in the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars is canon. So since they explained how he survived, and
basically just go watch Clone Wars and you'll know.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do. I mean, for the fans who don't watch that, I could totally see them having a dialogue where he mentions my hatred for Kenobi kept me alive. You know, basically that's what it was.
Yeah.
His hatred was so strong. He was so consumed by the dark side that it kept his will alive, even though his body failed him, and it kept his soul alive long enough for him the mechanical parts to be made to keep him, sustain him.
Because I know he becomes some sort of spider thing.
That's his first incarnation.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Dathomir, and that's the other thing. He says he's on Dathomir when he talks to Kira.
Yeah.
He says, "Come to me on Dathomir." So maybe we'll see the Dathomir witches, which would be an awesome thing for the fans.
Yeah, they did tie that in, and that was a big part of everything going on with Darth Maul and the men of his race.
And for those who don't know, the Dathomir witches are another group of Force users, but they access the Force a different way than Jedi and Sith. So their use of the Force comes across more like magic than the Jedi and Sith do, but it's still they utilize a different aspect of the Force is what they do. And they are the people that's where Darth Maul originally came from, was the Dathomir witches. Yeah, so you have Savage Opress, his lightsaber. I'm 99% sure that's his lightsaber that we see Darth Maul hold up. His legs are the updated legs that he got from Death Watch. So first he had the spider legs, and then when he was kind of insane, and when Mother Talzin, the head Dathomir witch, she heals him and she pulls all the darkness out of Darth Maul's brain so he could be sane again, and she renews his legs, and he gets like these cool, like, I don't know how to describe them, almost like animal legs, like looking, but they're two legs, and he's really tall, and I don't know how to describe him, but those get cut off and destroyed when Kenobi and the pirate Hondo is fighting Savage and Maul.
Right.
Those legs get destroyed, and then the group Death Watch, which is a Mandalorian merc group that wants to retake over Mandalore, they repair those legs and give him the new legs. And those new legs he got from Death Watch is the legs, you can see them when he's sitting down. Those are the same legs he's got. So those legs are the Death Watch legs, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But one thing I got to wrap up with regarding the Maul part is I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember how Maul's story ended. And what happens is Maul's crime syndicate overtakes Mandalore and puts Death Watch in charge, and the Emperor shows up and fights Maul because Maul's screwing up his plans. And Maul, he wants to be the Emperor's apprentice again, and the Emperor's like, "No, you suck. You're too weak. You lost." You know. Yeah. And he's like, and then the Emperor fights Maul and Savage at the same time. Emperor kills Savage, and that's where his lightsaber comes from for Maul. But as he's doing the Force lightning and killing Maul, he tells Maul, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. I have other plans for you." Well, that's the last we heard of Maul.
Until we see him in Rebels.
Rebels, but Rebels takes place after this.
Correct.
So I think what it is his other plans, we're going to find out, is Maul is answering to the Emperor still. Yeah. And the Emperor took over his crime syndicate, renamed it Crimson Dawn because the Emperor has a thing for red. And so Maul is his way of controlling the underworld in his empire.
Right. Yeah, and I think it makes perfect sense. It ties into everything that's going on. I'm hoping that's with the Kasdan's writing this solo movie. Oh, yeah. That was the plan they were looking at, was taking it a little further, because they're doing these Star Wars stories. It's a great way to tie them all together.
Kasdan is so amazing when he writes Star Wars because he knows it inside out. He wrote Empire Strikes Back. He worked side by side with Lucas. He knew what Lucas's original vision was. Yeah. But Kasdan also understands what us fans want, and he writes to include that stuff, which was so great. So yay! What were your thoughts on the Falcon?
It was odd seeing it. Odd, yeah. Seeing it clean. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm so used to seeing that grungy stuff, and
well, I mean, it was. I don't know how old the ship was at this point, but Lando had it tricked out, pimped out, ready to go. So of course it was going to be clean because he was escorting the ladies around.
I love that Lando had a closet just for his capes.
Yeah. But did you notice that Kira, the one she tries on was the blue one from Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, he has a Hawaiian style one. I mean, he's got one for everything. Well, he's wearing a Hawaiian style one at the end there. So.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, and it's just great. He's got a cape for everything. There was a thing I saw though, the little video where he actually takes people on a tour of the Falcon and shows them the cape room and that stuff, and it shows Lando's bedroom and everything else. So I mean, it was basically because with New Hope and that having still a 70s feel to it and some of the haircuts and stuff like that. I mean, not in actual everything else, but certain haircuts. He had a 70s pinball wheel thing going on here.
Oh yeah,
and
I also loved on the Falcon, like you saw Beckett teaching Chewbacca how to play the chess game.
Yes.
If you notice though, the move Chewie makes that Beckett warns him about, and he's like, "You got to learn." That's the same move he makes against 3PO and R2 and loses. So I guess Chewie didn't learn.
No, he's like, let the Wookiee win.
Let the Wookiee win. Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure about that, but I thought it was at least very similar.
Yeah.
But
I didn't like Chewbacca try to wipe the board.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's a hologram. You can't do that.
Woody Harrelson did a great job in there. You had mentioned off air, you were a little concerned about that him being in it. Like, is it going to take me out of the movie?
The preconceived notions from other characters that he's played in other movies. Same thing with.
Well, as an actor, I talked about this beforehand. Paul Bettany, he sounds like Paul Bettany all the time. Woody kind of sounds like Woody, but at the same time, he always fits whatever he's doing. If you look at like Zombieland, you look at the was it the Katniss movies,
Hunger Games.
Well, or you can go. He can go to the other extreme where it's like American Psycho.
What was it? Well, of course, if you I read something about him the other day because a lot of stuff came about him being in the movie. Come to find out, his dad was a contract killer, and so him playing natural born killers.
Wait, Woody Harrelson's real life dad?
Yes,
was a contract killer.
Yes. That at one time they had speculated he was tied to the grassy knoll for JFK.
What?
Yes, it was in an article. I read it.
If you read it, it's true.
It's all true. It was on the internet.
Was it on the internet?
On the internet.
Okay, then it's true. If it's on the internet,
but it definitely is. But his father died.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess his dad died though when he was younger. Or maybe I forget where it was. But they had like years where they didn't see. But his dad, had gone to jail for murder. He was hired to kill somebody. So.
Yeah, I thought he was great as Beckett. He did his role as the mentor to Han.
Yes,
thought that was good.
Well, and it was interesting to see because you got a character here that had a love interest that dies. Val, she sacrificed herself to save her love interest, and instead of just like weeping, like, hey, he's like, oh well, I got to move on because I'm a gangster and this is what I do.
Did you notice who the actress is that played Val?
Yeah, it's Tandy Newton.
Yeah, from Westworld.
Yeah,
she looks so different as Val.
Yeah, they gave her they gave her the bigger hair.
Yeah,
and that she looked awesome.
Well, I thought she was fantastic. In the comic books that are now canon, the newer series that are out, Val is in it.
Okay,
she shows up, and so they did a great job of bringing her to life to fit how she looks in the comic.
That was actually one of my surprise. Besides the mall thing, it was a surprise casting when I saw her because I didn't remember seeing her in the trailer. I was like, I didn't know she was in this because I'm watching Westworld season 2 right now.
Yeah,
and she's all over that.
I'm pretty sure it's her in the comic. Yeah, it's Val because she shows up and says she's Han Solo's wife. Is how she introduces herself
in the comic.
Yeah. So she survives this somehow.
Well, it didn't look like it, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Well, it didn't look like Maul survived either. So.
Well, it could be. I mean, they thought she was all, so.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see.
We also learned how he got his DL-44 blaster.
Yep, that's the one right up here.
Which is...
for those watching on the video part of this, not the audio. If you're looking at audio, just pretend.
This is one of my props here. Now, what's cool about this gun... One thing that always bothered me about this gun is when you aim it... Han Solo's right-handed, I'm right-handed. When you aim it, the scope's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Who would put a scope over there? But in Solo, if you notice, Beckett uses two guns. this is his left-handed gun. In every scene he has this, he's using it with his left hand. Well, left-handed, the scope's in the right spot. All of his right-handed guns that he uses in the movie has a center scope instead of a side scope. So for me personally, that answered that annoyance I've had for 40 years.
I mean, I never really thought about it.
This was Beckett's left-handed gun.
See, the problem is all the toys always had the scope on top.
Right.
So
But good times with Beckett. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think Woody Harrelson. I mean, side note, they did announce Zombieland 2, and they're bringing the original cast back. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in that. So.
I also really loved. I'm blanking on his name. The four-armed crewmate.
Oh, yeah. The one I thought originally in the first trailer, I thought it was Maz at first. They went so quick over him.
Right.
But, he was cool. He looks to be a similar race as her in terms of some of the design in the face and everything else. He was great, though. He sacrificed himself during the train sequence. So
that was a bad mission all around.
It was definitely one of those missions that it was designed to go south, but they had to do it otherwise they would have been killed anyways.
Right.
Because the whole thing's centered around at this point in time in the universe, hyperspace fuel is very limited, mainly due to the Empire controlling it all. So all these underground groups trying to get the fuel they need, they had to steal it, and so they were trying to get. They had stole some refined already, and they got lost because Han dumped it, and because that's his trademark. He dumps this thing, but so they had to go and get the original raw material, and that's what they were going for. So
I have to self-correct myself. It's not Val in the comics who's his wife. This character, her name is actually Sana, S-A-N-A, but I thought that was Val.
Yeah. I remember reading about Sana.
Which we still don't know the story about that as far as why she's proclaiming herself as Han's wife. I don't know. Maybe he's on a Vegas planet and got married while drunk. I don't know what the story is there.
Yeah.
They might reveal it in the comics. To be honest, I don't follow the comics like I do everything else, so not sure on that.
Yeah, I've read some of the comics and that they came out with these last few years that are all canon. It's just too much to try to keep up with that once, so I need to go back and eventually get some of the trades, or I'll see if they got it on the Marvel app. Do that for $10 a month. So
one more little Easter egg that was popped in regarding Beckett. We find out he's responsible for killing Aura Singh.
Yeah, the bounty hunter.
The bounty hunter, which has about a half a second of airtime in episode 1, but ended up getting her own comic book series, and she was popular amongst the fans.
Yeah, she was. She popular in the Clone Wars too, though.
Yeah, well, as far as the movies go, she just had the
movie-wise,
But then they brought her up. She kind of became young Boba Fett's mentor. She created a gang of bounty hunters with Bosk. Dengar was in it. Some other ones too, and young Boba Fett was part of that group. And so we find out Aura Singh. I liked his response. He's like, Lando says, "You're the one who killed Aura Singh." He's like, "Well, I just pushed her. I think the fall killed her." I thought that was great too. Yeah. But one thing that won't kill you, is Loringer Family Chiropractic. They're going to get rid of that aching back of yours and help you with your spinal health.
After last week of working, I had got adjusted last night, and it was well worth it.
Well worth it. Wellness.
I feel so much better afterwards.
They put the well in wellness.
Yes, they do.
Your journey to wellness begins here. Build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care at Loringer Family Chiropractic Center. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. Loringer Family Chiropractic offers on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, and a family-oriented environment. And that is true. You do feel like family there. Their office is even in a house, which even helps more.
Yes.
Actually, it's not a home.
Actually, both houses, the Dexter and the Belleville.
Dexter is also a house?
Right now it's currently in a building with it's a house next door they've been renovating. That when that opens up, it'll be in a house.
Awesome. But most of all, it's their great attitudes, great welcoming attitudes, all that makes it the family environment that it is. So call them at 734-697-4244 or visit LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com, and we, for your convenience, put on a link to our oddmusings.com sponsorship page where you can click on that and go straight to their page. So Brett, being one of their patients.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, last night, they did a great job. I was definitely in a lot of pain after heavy lifting. I had a lot of heavy orders yesterday, and then so I got some things back on track on that. Got to see everybody. Quick shout out to young Miss Shelby, who's graduating high school this week from Belleville High School. She works there. She's also already studying massage therapy, just like her mom, Terry. And Terry seems to be doing very well, too. So
awesome.
Definitely keeping her in prayers and that. So I saw a picture from something the other day with Terry. She looked good and that. So glad to see she's up and about with everything going on. And Shelby's super excited to graduate high school. I think we all were at our time and that. So I think it's cool that she's doing that. But the office is going good. Also, Chelsea out there got married the other week. So, and that's what I talk about being a family-oriented environment. You get to know these people just like family.
You do.
I was not invited to the wedding, so I did not get wedding cake. So if Chelsea's listening to this, shame on you. You should have bought me cake.
Hashtag send cake.
Hashtag wedding cake now. So don't need to get married to have wedding cake. Just want cake. So, but we got about a little over 10, 15 minutes.
Well, one union we do have to talk about besides their marriage is the union we got to see between Han and Chewie. They got to meet on screen. We even got a shower scene as their intro.
But it's very interesting. He gets captured as he's trying to basically leave the planet because he's tired of being an Imperial trooper. He's kind of an Imperial infantry.
Imperial Army, which is our first time technically seeing the Imperial Army, which is really cool.
But he did mention he trained to be a pilot. He just got thrown back.
He was kicked out for having a mind of his own.
Right, and that was mentioned. That was also something from the original Expanded Universe stuff that always talked about that.
I was so happy with the way they handled the Han and Chewie meeting. I thought that was great. Seeing Chewie all covered in mud and the fight between them,
and basically almost being a feral creature. He had, we don't know how long he had been tortured.
Yeah, well, we do know they said it's been 3 days since we last fed him.
Right.
So Chewie was hungry at that point. But it was so fun too to finally see the Wookiee language translated when Han is talking to him.
Yes.
He's like, you have plan of escape. Look, big stick.
Well, when he first speaks, he's like, yeah, I speak, Wookiee a little bit.
Then he says, you dumb Wookiee. And then, or even like when they get out and they're running, Han's like, here, go this way. And Chewie goes the other way and pulls them. They did such a great job with that. It
added the perfect amount of comedic bit that you get between these two without being too over the top.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You?
Yeah, I pretty much guessed it when they threw Han in the pit. I mean, I think everybody knew that was...
It took me a second because at first I'm thinking, are they going to have a Rancor down there?
Yeah.
But then it's like,
it was a small pit. It wasn't a big...
Well, that's where... Yeah. Right. When they said there's a beast, I'm thinking, but then you're right. When he got thrown down, I'm like, okay, that's not deep enough for a Rancor. So what's going to come out? And then as soon as like the first steps started coming, I'm like, ooh, that's Chewie.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the best part was, when they do talk and they come up with the plan, it basically him helping Chewie get out of there kind of established the life debt at that point, the Wookiee life debt.
Did that establish the life debt?
I think
don't know if we've seen the life debt occur yet.
And I think it did because later on, when Chewbacca sees the other Wookiees that are in trouble, Han says, do what you got to do. He basically says, go for it. And he goes up there. I think that's...
Then he says bye to his people.
Yeah, I think it solidified it, but I think at the same time, I think part of it too was when Han helped him get out of the pit, they developed the plan. Right. At that point, Chewbacca didn't know how he was going to get out of the pit.
Right.
And Han's like, look, we can knock this pipe down, we can do this, and they got out. That kind of established that part, and it was solidified by the fact that Han said, go save your people, go do what you got to do.
I think the shower scene solidified the life debt.
That wasn't life debt. That was just...
I love how Han's like, we really couldn't have done this separately. And Chewie's like,
yeah. Doesn't matter.
I had a lot of... I really thought it was cool, too. Totally unexpected. And I really enjoyed it, was how Han got his last name.
Yeah, and it was, and the thing was, it was kind of so simple. And you see the guys looking at it, he's like, Solo, here we go.
I love how
Han's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I really thought that was cool hearing.
And it kind of ties back to even, in our actual history of when people didn't have last names, Right. If you didn't come from a certain family, you just had a name.
Although Han does say that Lando, his father used to build YT Corellian freighters, so we don't really know what his true last name is.
Right.
because he just said, I don't have people, I'm alone.
Yeah.
Plus he probably wanted to not tell his true name to an Imperial officer. So
I think that's part of it. It could have tied into something else, and they'll explore that later on. So
I kind of like the reaction that Kira had when they re-meet, and Beckett says, "This is my associate Han Solo," or something like that. And Kira's like, "Huh?"
She only knew him as Han.
Yeah.
We also learned the correct pronunciation of Han's name. Yeah. Because Lando keeps calling him Han, and Han goes, "It's Han," but that's okay. Because Leia calls him Han a lot of times in the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, I think it was also something way back when it would first come out. People were kind of saying Han, especially if they only saw it in print.
Well, in the movies, they would say it both ways. So people would always say, "Well, what is the right way?" Well, technically, we found out the right way.
Yeah,
it's Han.
And I think after a point, he's like, "I don't really care."
Yeah.
Or Harrison Ford says, "You just call me whatever you need to call me."
Well, that's better than when he was doing the Golden Globes. He was like so trash. Poor Harrison Ford. Don't give a guy a ton of alcohol and throw him on a stage. That's not right.
Well, same thing with John Travolta. And coming down to sing is Wabayoo Kahubadus.
Let's see. Another thing, we got to see Han first meeting Lando.
Yep.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, it established a relationship because obviously it goes on for. I mean, we knew from Empire that they had a long relationship in their or a long. I won't call it a relationship, but they knew each other for a long time. So we now see that for the first time.
That was another thing though, where they did such a great job, at least for me, in that. Okay, you see Han and Lando playing the game, and you're thinking, okay, well, obviously Han's going to win because he gets the Falcon.
Yeah. Right.
And then he loses. And it's like, well, wait a minute.
Well, they had to do the Rocky Balboa bit.
Right. Well, but it was excellent the way they did because I know it got me.
No, I thought he was going to win it there too. Yeah. I thought, he's going to win, and then
you find out Lando cheated.
Yep.
And at the end, it recreates the Empire Strikes Back scene because Han, when he sees the card, then he switches the wanting to punch him to hugging him. Yeah. And then that's exactly in reverse of when Lando sees Han.
Yeah. Right. So I thought it was there was a lot of little homages like that throughout that did that. And I love that bit too because then as soon as they did that, I was like, oh, he stole the card. And they get down to the last little bit and he throws the Falcon in because Han has the hyperspace fuel. The coaxium, which is the hyperspace fuel,
right?
And that, so he's like, oh yeah, I'm giving some fuel for my ship now. And
another homage was to the Return of the Jedi scene. Mm-hmm. We find out Lando's skiff gear is on the Falcon, and Beckett wears it.
That was a great little Easter egg.
And then Chewie pretends to be the prisoner again, just like he did in Jabba's palace.
But I love the he's like, just go along with it, just like in A New Hope. Like, just go. I know what he's doing. Right. Just go with it.
Just go with it. And that was it was so cool seeing the skiff gear in there. Oh, and in that scene, this is a really cool Easter egg to the fans for a long time. Kira does that fight scene with, we don't really see much other than some twirling capes, but then L3 goes, whoa, what was that? And she goes, it's Teras Kasi, and she learned it from the dragon, which I think is a reference to Game of Thrones. I don't know what dragon, so I'm guessing it's Game of Thrones since she's the mother of dragons. But Teras Kasi was a 1997 PlayStation game. It was called Masters of Teras Kasi, which is basically Mortal Kombat with Star Wars characters.
Yeah. It was not like a big hit of a video game, but I remember it because anything Star Wars video game wise at that time, I was definitely into it.
It was a Star Wars fighting game. Yeah. But by her mentioning that fighting style is now part of canon, which I thought was cool that they went all the way back to 1997 to pull out this obscure fighting style.
I think that's all Kasdan. Tying all this stuff together because he's constantly been involved with everything, or at least as a fan, even more than just as a producer, writer, and all that.
Now there is a pair of characters who don't appear for the first time ever in a Star Wars film. Do you know which two?
Well, it'd be Luke and Leia.
No, because they weren't in episode 1 or 2.
Right. All right.
They also weren't in Rogue One.
Yep.
R2 and 3PO. This is the first time ever they are not in a film.
Yeah, because typically the episode movies has all been likened as more like following R2 and 3PO in some way. They've always been there and they've been around.
But they even worked them in as a cameo into Rogue One.
Right, which was easy to do when they got the
big base. Yeah.
Base. They were already part of Captain Antilles' crew. They were with Captain Antilles at that point. So.
Right. So this is the first time we don't have them. But Anthony Daniels does continue his streak of being in 100% of all things Star Wars. Every audiobook ever done, every cartoon, not every cartoon, I shouldn't say every cartoon, but every title. He has been in Rebels, he has been in Clone Wars, he has always been the voice of 3PO. They did cast him as a cameo part. I don't know, I haven't figured out which role he is in the movie yet, but he is credited on IMDb, so he is in it.
Right.
So there's that also. But that covers most of my notes.
Yeah, I mean, that covers quite a bit. We're getting close to the end.
There's so much. I could keep going. Those were some notes I had as far as I can't remember who said it, so I'm not going to be able to credit them. But on Facebook, one of my friends put they felt like Solo was a love letter to the longtime fans with all the amount of Easter eggs they put in there that tie the cartoons directly into the movie line and into the prequel. They worked in a lot of stuff from the prequels, so there's a lot of stuff in there.
All right, here is Anthony Daniels. He was the human slave Tak during the Kessel Mine heist. He can be seen when Chewbacca and his fellow Wookiee Sagwa part ways by pressing their foreheads together. Tak calls out to Sagwa by name and shouts, "This way."
This way.
So that was his appearance in
there.
There
we go.
So after next time I go see it, I'll be looking for that because it's actually Anthony Daniels and not just a robot.
Right. So that character was the one that was trying to get Chewbacca and Chewbacca's friend to leave the pits in that direction, but that's where Chewbacca and his friend
split
ways.
Yep. Okay. So it's a split-second thing.
Very cool.
That's great they threw him in there so you can keep the streak alive on that.
Oh, one last thing I got to throw out there for the Easter egg that pops in my head. The Falcon's language in Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, when C-3PO is talking to the Falcon's computer, and he says to Han, I don't know where your ship learned to talk, but it's got the most peculiar dialect. We now know L3 is part of the ship.
That was Lando's robot that he was actually a little close to. She even said that Lando's in love with her.
Well, that was a funny scene. I don't know if you noticed, but Lando's into me.
Yeah. Was very much autonomous and very had his own full personality.
And
more than I think I've seen.
Kara's reaction too. She's like, "Yeah, I see that."
Yeah. Well, and it kind of added a bit of like K2SO having a lot more personality.
Yes.
We always knew like C-3PO had personality, but his was still more programmed and etiquette and stuff like that. But allowing to have more of that developing their own personality feel to them. So
yeah, we know. Oh, and also did you notice the one Han did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? We didn't even cover the Kessel Run. Oh my God, we're running out of time. That was epic too.
Well, the thing was, he claims it was 12 parsecs.
But Chewie says,
he goes, who cares?
Well, he says, well, not if you round down.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it was 13 It's like 12.99 parsecs. And I think Chewie said it was actually 13.
And when you see this movie, see the Kessel Run for the first time, and actually what they did, it was awesome.
It was.
Because it's through this whole vapors and creatures and everything else. It's you got to go see it.
And just a reminder,
it's like an undersea trench run.
And that was an homage to the Naboo scene.
Yep.
Even where they turn the lights on and there's an eye there, and then the creature chases them. But just to tie back, this will be my last point, because it might seem weird, like, well, how is this big creature living in space? Well, in Episode 5, the giant space slug they have vacuum living creatures. They have those. The Minox can live in space.
Yeah.
So in the Star Wars universe, creatures that live in space is a thing. So it's possible. Even in the Rebels, they had those creatures that ended up attacking at the end of Rebels and fighting, and they kind of do their own version of hyperspace.
Right.
So that's all I have for now. Otherwise, I got to pay Dominic another $50 to keep.
Al, any last thought?
I just thought that I got two quick things here. The first one was I like it at the very beginning when Han he says, "I've got a good feeling about this."
Yeah, they did a twist on the "I have a bad feeling."
Yeah, and then the other one was I did notice at first I didn't make the connection because I couldn't remember where I saw him, but the actor is it Warwick Davis?
Yeah, he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was also in one of the prequels.
He's in all the Star Wars movies except for Episode 4 and 5.
Yeah. Since Jedi, he's popped in somewhere as some type of creature or something else.
But he's you actually see his face this time, and I think he was one of Jabba's crew in Episode 3 or something, or Phantom Menace or something.
In Episode 1, he's in the stands for the pod race. He's one of the ones cheering.
Yeah, so now he's become...
And I think he plays the Rodian, one of young Anakin's friends, the Greedo-looking child.
Yeah.
I think that's Warwick Davis, too, so I think he plays 2 roles in there.
Yeah, so then now he shows up again, and I don't know if it's the same character that's...
Oh, is it the same character?
Yeah, now that he's grown up, he's become...
Theoretically, it could be.
Well, Al, I'm going to have you research that and get back to us so we can reveal that on a future episode.
All right.
My thought is this has been a lot of fun, always talking Star Wars and that. So we'll get back to you guys next week live with another new show. What it'll be about? Tune in next week. We're always live on that. Until then, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.
This is Lisa with T-24.com, and you've been listening to Odd Musings with Brett and Scott.